So before we get started, I just want to start with my idea that's been in the front of my mind. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of months, and it's gonna blow your mind. So buckle up, okay? Are you ready? 2020 sucks. That's right, I know, crazy. It's been a terrible year. And I don't know how it's affected you, but it's definitely affected me. So I'm gonna share a little bit about that. See, for me, it started in the middle of January. I was in school and I got a call from my dad and he said, "Avery, you need to come to the hospital right now." Little did I know that the son of our family's best friends was in critical condition. And a couple days later, on January 16th, he passed away. Then 4 days later, I get a text from my soccer coach in the morning, and he says that one of my fellow teammates has passed away in a tragic car accident. And that was only the first month of 2020, right? February came along and it seemed kind of normal. It was probably the most normal month for me. But then in the middle of the March, as all of us know, coronavirus caused our country to go on a lockdown. And I was getting ready to finish up the last part of my senior year. And I know I only look 14, but I promise you, I'm a senior. I'm now in college, okay? But a lot of what you would imagine happens at the end of your senior year just canceled for me, canceled. Graduation looked so much different, everything looked different, but I had a sliver of hope. See, I was going back to college and I hadn't gotten the email yet that we were gonna be completely online, but inevitably in the summer, I did receive that email and we decided to go completely online. And see, when life is hard, it's easier for us as leaders to get stuck in the mundane, in the status quo of this world. Right? 2020 hasn't been a good year. And to be honest, it's status quo. It's below average. And it's easy for our mindset to get paralyzed. See, we have one of two options though. In this moment, we have one of two options as leaders, okay? Number one, we can stay paralyzed. We can stay in that mundane and status quo, or as the younger generation, we can see this year as the biggest opportunity for us to change our culture and our world. See, and some people use this phrase, opportunity knocks. But in my personal opinion, I don't think it's opportunity that's knocking, but there is someone that's knocking at your door. And I want to share a little bit of my leadership testimony to you today and explain what I mean by this. So for me, it started when I was younger, right? I heard from people in my community that, you have leadership qualities, but I didn't know what that meant as a third grader. See, leadership is any amount of influence that you have over people. So all of us are leaders in some form or capacity. But I was in third grade. I didn't know what it meant. But what I did know is that I was a big dreamer. For example, I wanted to be a national football player. And I don't know if you can see me right now, but I'm not the size or the stature to be a National Football League player. I would get completely obliterated. But that's just an example to show how big my dreams went, right? And that's really big. But I knew that I had goals in mind. I knew I wanted to do something. And around sixth grade, I remember I came upon an epiphany. I knew what I wanted to do with my life. So I want you to just picture, you're driving up to an orange grove on a gravel road, it kind of goes like this, and you're like, where does this lead to? Where is this going? And then all of a sudden it opens up, and it's this beautiful parking lot, and this beautiful front side of a building, and there is Avery's Gourmet Steakhouse and Winery. Right? That was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. And I was in sixth grade. I don't know why I was thinking about a gourmet steakhouse and winery. You can ask my parents. But that's what I was getting ready to do. That's what I wanted to do with my life. And up until my sophomore year, that was my goal. That was my dream. I was going to make big bucks in the restaurant industry with my gourmet steakhouse and winery. But then around my sophomore year of high school is when Jesus started to knock. Jesus started to knock on my door. I remember hearing a sermon from Pastor Matt here at Sandals Church, and he was talking about God's dreams in our life. And he said, God's dreams are those things that we know are right, are those things that we know we should do, but we don't really want to in the moment. And right then and there, I heard the audible voice of God, and I wanted to pee my pants. I was so scared. But he said, Avery, I'm calling you to be a pastor. And I said, God, no, I have this plan. I have this business. I want to run it. I want to get rich. I want to be successful. Plus my dad is a pastor. I don't want to be my dad. I want to be me. I want to be my own person. And I was like, God, no, that's not for me. Fast forward a couple months, my school does missionary trips during spring break. So I'm on spring break. I'm in a small country called Belize, and me and my team are out working at the village. And all the other teams are back at our home base, our home camp. And a missionary lady that I've only known for a couple of days walks up to the other teams, and she's like, where's the short kid that can sing? And at the time, I was a short kid that could sing. So everyone's like, oh, Avery, he's out with his team. He's out working with his team. And she says, I just wanted to tell him, I feel like God's calling him to be a pastor. So you can only imagine my reaction when I got back to the home base. I was like, this is weird. I've only known you for 3 days. But again, God, no, I have a plan. I have my plan for my life, okay? You're not going to ruin Avery's Gourmet Steakhouse and Winery. So fast forward one more time for a couple of months. I'm now in summer camp. And usually summer camp for me, there's some kind of breakthrough. There's some kind of big moment that I can point back on and be like, man, summer camp that year was awesome. But this year, it was just a good week. See, all my friends were getting breakthroughs. All my friends were doing big things in their life. Even other people around me were finding Jesus for the first time. But I just had a good week. And it was our last day at summer camp, and everyone's sharing how God had changed their life. And I'm sitting here, and I hear the Holy Spirit whisper, you should share what your calling is. You should share that you're called to be a pastor or a full-time minister. And I said, God, that's boring. Why would I want to do that? But as I wrestled with myself for a couple minutes, I realized, man, this is what I should do. This is what I should do. So I grabbed the mic and I shared and I said, yeah, I had a good week. And I feel like this week my call was affirmed, and I want to be a pastor. I want to go into full-time ministry. And that was it. And following that, 25 other high school students announced the same thing. And I could have never imagined that. That was not me. That was all God's work. And that's because Jesus knocked and I said yes. I said yes. And then I had no idea what to do, right? So if opportunity knocked, what would happen is it would come up to the door. It would make itself aware when it knocked. And it would say, hey, I'm here. Let's go. But that's not what happened for me. Jesus knocked and I said yes. But I had no idea what to do. But here's my big idea. Here's the one thing I want you to pull away from this talk, is that Jesus knocks, but opportunity is everywhere, just waiting for you to say yes. Shortly after summer camp, I was approached by one of our pastors to be a part of a Rogo School of Leadership. And it was a 9-month commitment, and I learned more than I ever would have about leadership, about relationships, about character. And it was amazing. And during that time, I also was able to step into another role as a high-level volunteer for our young adults ministry. And now, as of June this summer, I'm part-time on staff for Sandals for our young adult ministry. Now, when I say that Jesus knocks and you should say yes, that doesn't mean that you should go into full-time ministry. This is my story. But your story can look so much different and have the same impact. We need godly men and women in the marketplace. We need godly men and women in our homes. We need godly men and women in our communities. All I'm saying is that you need to say yes to Jesus and then look for opportunities. I don't know what it looks like for you. I don't know how Jesus is going to knock on your door. But what will it take for you to say yes to Jesus and go looking for opportunities that he has for you in the marketplace, in your homes, and in your communities? And only then will we see a revival that was never like before. Only then will our culture change and the world change for the better. See, if we have a mindset that we're going to reach people in all areas of life, one by one, that's an additional equation. That's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. But if we have the mindset that we are going to lead like Jesus, that we're going to lead others with our influence towards a greater goal. You now influence this person, and then they go out and influence 5, and then they go out and influence 5, and all of a sudden we have this exponential equation, this fire that catches everybody in one sweep, and we have revival, we have change. See, 2020 has changed our world in more ways than we can imagine, in more ways than we will know as of now. But instead of letting 2020 change you, let 2020 be the driving force for you to say yes to Jesus. For you to say, okay, I'm going to find opportunities in the marketplace, in my communities, in my homes. and allow you to be the change that we need today.